Hey guys, let's talk Terrifier, a movie I've been bad-mouthing for the last few weeks because I didn't really feel like reviewing it because it's such trash garbage. I mean, I've seen a lot of reviews where people are really bigging up this movie, really talking it up, saying, oh, it's so great, it's so awesome, and I just feel like you people are starved for good slasher movies, and that can be the only justification for why you think this movie is so great. It's not. The creature design is pretty cool. That's what made me click on it to watch the movie and to watch the original short that it comes from, which is far superior to this full-length movie. The creature design was interesting. It says, I look at that clown and think, oh, that looks creepy. Let me check out this movie. Wasted. Just a wasted effort. Like, the number one thing that irritated me throughout this whole movie was the lighting. What are you doing? Why are you lighting this like... It almost reminded me of, if you remember that movie Belly from back in the 90s. It was like a hip-hop movie, and it had, who was in it? Mary J. Blige was in it, and I think DMX was in that movie. It was lit like a music video, basically, and not a horror movie, and that takes a lot out of it. I gotta talk about the special effects. They were hit and miss. There were some that were really pretty good. Very decent, like a woman gets cut in half. That looked pretty good. But then another woman, it's like her chest is supposed to be cut off, but it just looked like they just put a slab of putty on her and then put some, well, hopefully I didn't hit the microphone. It's like they put a slab of putty on her and then put some fake blood on top of that and called it a night. And I'm like, did you run out of money? The main characters, didn't care about them. It was two girls that were stranded, I guess. What is it? I can't remember whether they had a flat tire or whether the battery's dead. I can't even remember what happened to their car, but they were annoying. Their car didn't work, and they were waiting for their sister to pick them up instead of like calling an Uber or a Lyft or something. So then I think before they find out that the car is stranded, they go to like a little diner and mess with that creepy looking clown, which is your first mistake. Why are you messing with a creepy looking clown? You've never seen a horror movie before, you're gonna go and mess with a creepy looking clown and think that's gonna end well at all. Anyways, these two insufferable witches can't get their car started, and they call their sister, and I wish I could care more. This is so hard. It's hard to review a movie when you just want to forget that you even saw it. The music sounds like one of those CDs that you buy and play in your yard during Halloween. Like, that's how bad it was. It was like one of those CDs that it's just spooky sounds that play for like 60 minutes at a time. They used to have them on cassette tapes, but it sounded like that. It didn't sound like someone actually did the score. I'm sure someone did, but it just felt like that. The guys that worked at the pizzeria were better actors than the two main... I don't even call them actors. I'm going to call them Instagram models, because that's probably what they are. I think this director hired some Instagram models to read lines and pretend like they're actors, because they couldn't act their way out of a paper bag. It was painfully bad. Like, I literally wrote in my notes, this... I don't know if you see it. This is garbage trash. I actually wrote that in my notes. Not only does this look like a movie made by someone who hasn't studied film, it's like the director didn't even watch a lot of films. Because even if you watch a lot of movies, you can kind of pick up on how they're made just by watching them. But I don't think this person watched them. Like, if you watch horror movies, good horror movies, you'll kind of get an idea of how to make a good horror movie. Just copy what that guy did. I mean, not directly. You want to make it your own in some form or fashion and not just crib off of someone else. But you could at least learn how to light something, how to set up a shot, how to create tension. I'm so disgusted. Especially if you're going to make a slasher movie. There's so many slasher movies. How can you get this formula wrong? It's like one of the most straightforward formulas that you can have, and you got this wrong. You know what the main thing is? Slasher movies are thrillers. This was not a thriller because there was no mystery to unfold. Like, the best slasher movies, it's a whodunit. Like the first Friday the 13th. Who's killing the camp counselors? Why? The first Nightmare on Elm Street. Is this all in their mind, or who is this person? Is Fred Krueger real? Who is this guy? Prom night. Why are people being killed? Who's doing it? The Burning. What's another great one? Pieces. Why are the students being murdered? And you might have a red herring which in this movie, the red herring would have been, you know, the janitor, or I don't think he was a janitor. I think he was a maintenance person. He was some type of maintenance person. He would have been a red herring. But no. You just have this clown. And then the clown is not even, I don't think he's supposed to be supernatural. Because you could even have gone that route and made him a supernatural style killer. But they didn't really do that either. There's like no reason to be for this clown. Which, I mean, I mentioned in one of my other videos when I was ranting about how to make a good slasher movie, that people might mistakenly say, oh, well, Michael Myers didn't have a reason. But he did have a reason. His reason was that he was evil. That was his reason. He was a little boy that was in a middle-class home in a nice, you know, suburb called Haddonfield, and had two lovely parents in a nuclear home, and he just was evil. He decided one night to kill his sister, and he went to the mental institution, and he broke out and decided to come back to try to kill his other sister. This clown doesn't even have a backstory of being evil or where he came from. He's just is. And he's not that entertaining either. You know, I'm getting off track. What other notes did I have here? Yeah, I actually mentioned that in my notes about Nightmare on Elm Street. Why was Freddy killing the kids in their dreams? Because their parents killed him. Why was Mrs. Voorhees killing the camp counselors? Because she blamed them for her son drowning and them not paying attention because they were too busy flirting and having sex and drinking and smoking weed and doing everything other than watching the children. Even though, if you ever noticed that Friday the 13th actually kind of did a switch on Psycho, because in Psycho you have Norman Bates who hears his mother telling him to do these things, and he kind of becomes his mother. And then the original Friday the 13th, you have Pamela Voorhees hearing her son and kind of having her son tell her to do these things. So I don't know if that was intentional, but it always stood out to me as kind of paying homage or ripping off, depending on how you see it, Psycho. I actually put in my notes, I was so bored by this movie, I started writing notes about why Rob Zombie failed in doing the Halloween movie, because he tried to take away the thing that was interesting about the Michael Myers character by having him have all these issues with his parents. His mom's a stripper, his stepdad is an abusive alcoholic, his sister is a whore, and that's what I'm going to call it, a whore. And you know, these are things that made him evil. No, that's not interesting. That's not interesting at all. And I don't get why Rob Zombie is so fascinated by poor white trash. Like, he really gives me the impression that he grew up somewhere super wealthy, and that's why these things are super interesting to him, because if he grew up around these type of people, yeah, some of them are okay. I mean, not everybody that's poor is trash. I mean, I just use that as a statement describing his characters, but he seems obsessively just fascinated with them. And it's more fascinating to have Michael Myers come from the standpoint of having everything he could ever want or need as a child and still just being evil just because. That's a way more interesting story. And that doesn't have anything to do, well, it has something to do with Terrifier, talking about writing slasher movies that actually are interesting. I mentioned the gore. That's pretty much the only thing this movie has going for it, but it's so far and in between. There's very few. I mean, there's only 3 fatalities in this whole movie, I believe. Oh no, he did go back and kill, I think, the restaurant workers. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, like it matters. Fuck this movie. It doesn't matter to me. You didn't care enough to make a decent movie. I don't care enough to not spoil your crappy ass movie. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. I really hate to bash a movie because it's someone's art, but hopefully you have a thick skin and you've got, I mean, there's enough people who love this movie so that my one little negative opinion about this movie shouldn't really affect that much. So, you know, don't take it to heart. This is just one person's opinion. I do hope that the people who did the better special effects do get to work on better pictures. This picture, like, if there was good writing, this could have been as fun as Victor Crowley. Like, that was a movie, it's silly. It's, you know, there's nothing deep about it. But it was at least fun. It was entertaining. The gore effects were good. The jokes were all right. I mean, this could have been that. If you're not gonna scare me, entertain me. But you didn't do either. You bored me. I actually wanted to turn this off. When we started watching it, I was gonna turn it off And then my sister said, you're not going to turn it off because we just paid, I think it was $3.99 to Amazon Video. I'm like, damn. Think of better things to do with $4. I wrote this in my notes, but I don't remember this. It says, it got semi-interesting when the clown went Silence of the Lambs Buffalo Bill. Maybe I'm referring to when he cut the lady's breasts off and put it on himself. That could be the only thing I could think of that I was referring to in that. Oh, there was one good camera shot. The peephole with the clown. When the girl was behind the door and she was hiding and she could see the clown through the peephole, that was lit pretty well. But this movie takes place in Stupidville, so every character makes dumb decisions. Like people sit in cars with doors unlocked just after hearing about murders on the radio in close proximity to where they are. People use weapons and then immediately discard them. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in horror movies. If you pick up a crowbar and you hit the killer with a crowbar, you better not put that goddamn crowbar down. Why? Big pet peeve. People run away and then stop just in front of doorways where the killer can grab them from behind. Just irritating. Lazy writing. And it insults my intelligence. Set design also insults my intelligence. I mean, they had a scene, it's supposed to be a morgue. It looked like a regular ass basement. It just looked like somebody's basement. It still had like stuff that you have hanging up in your basement, up on the walls. And they were like, oh, this is the morgue. They put one table there. But the rest looked like a regular basement with storage stuff in it. Like, that was just so lazy. You'd have been better to empty the basement out and then have the table there and have it be an empty room and just kind of angle the camera so that it's mostly showing the characters in the table than to clearly show that it's just your friend's basement. I talked a little bit about the casting of the IG models to act, and how many dark-haired girls can you have in one movie? I couldn't tell them apart. I couldn't tell whether there was 2 or 3 different women. I was really confused because when the sister showed up to pick up her other sister and her friend, she looked just like the sister, so I thought it was the same girl, and I was like, didn't he just kill her? And then it was, get characters that look distinguishable from each other. Even if you have to do like a Josie and a Pussycat, so you have a blonde, a redhead, and a brunette, just so I can tell them apart, because that was irritating. This director has a type. Yeah, I see you, or your casting director, you have a type. You were just like, I like this type of girl with this height, this size, this color eyes, this color hair, and it was like the same. It's like a assembly line of the same woman. You know what I think I am going to do for some of you younger people who this might be your introduction to slasher movies, and I have to help you. It's my duty. I can't let you go out like that and let you watch subpar stuff. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen the big 3, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously, you have to watch those. But there are some lesser known slasher movies that I think are worth way more of a watch than this. And I would suggest The Burning from 1981. I'm giving you years because sometimes you might look up a movie and another movie has the same exact title, but it's not that movie, so that's why I'm giving the year. So the first one, The Burning, 1981. That was pretty entertaining. Prom Night, 1980. Not the remake. Make sure you watch the original. Sleepaway Camp, 1983. My Bloody Valentine, 1981. Loved the laundromat scene. The Prowler, that one is lesser known, but it's so good. As a matter of fact, the person that did this, his name escapes me, but the person that did the special effects in The Prowler also did the special effects in Friday the 13th Part 2, I believe, and I think he did a few other movies, but his effects were really good in The Prowler. Pieces. If you can find that, that one is great. It's an Italian slasher movie. It's in English. I think it's dubbed in English, but it's really great. The fatalities in that are creative, well done. The gore effects are good, and it's entertaining. Notice those are all from the 80s, because the golden age of slasher movies to me are like 1975 to 1985, probably 84. I wouldn't even say 85. There were a couple of good slasher movies in the 90s. The only ones I could think of were Candyman, which is a little bit deeper than just a slasher movie. I hate to relegate that to just being a slasher movie because it's more than a slasher movie. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I like Shocker. A lot of people, they sleep on that movie because, it's Wes Craven, and it seems like Nightmare on Elm Street and Last House on the Left are like the top picks for Wes Craven movies. Some people like The Hills Have Eyes as well, and they don't look as favorably on Shocker or on this is not a slasher movie, but I also like The People Under the Stairs, which is also a Wes Craven movie. And Popcorn. Popcorn's a very interesting little movie. I thought it was entertaining enough. Mind you, I'm not saying that Shocker and Popcorn are on the same level as Candyman. Candyman is a masterpiece, obviously, but they were pretty entertaining for, 90s slasher movies, because slasher movies went to hell in the 90s. Maybe I need to rewatch I Know What You Did Last Summer, but as I recall, that was straight garbage. There was another one, Urban Legends. I think that was in the 90s too. I don't really care for that one. I'm trying to think if there's some other one. I know the obvious one you want me to say is Scream, but the thing with Scream is it's more enjoyable if you've watched the other movies that it's referencing. It's more of a horror comedy also, so I don't put it in the same realm as slasher movies. I put it almost in parody. As for 2000s, I actually wrote down a couple. The only 3 that I could literally think of for the 2000s for good slasher movies are Hatchet, Clown, and Stitches. Stitches is an Irish film that also features a killer clown, but it's actually pretty decent. And Clown, obviously, is about a guy who puts on a clown suit that he can't take off, and he kind of becomes this demon-like creature, but he's also a slasher, so there's that. I would give an honorable mention to, oh gosh, what was the name of that? Girl House. Girl House was about these college girls that they had this online thing where they're filming themselves for guys, and they insult this one guy and he becomes a slasher, but there's also a background story about him, why that set him off. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's not super good, but it's better than Terrifier. Way better than Terrifier, so I would definitely look up Girl House as well. But like I always say, just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. Did you see Terrifier? Do you share my unpopular opinion that is trash? Or did you like it like so many other people seem to have enjoyed it? I don't know, maybe I'm the odd one out because I saw all these reviews and they're like, oh, it's so great, it's so fun, it's so awesome. And I'm like, did we watch the same movie? Because I don't see what's so great about it at all. Yeah, let me know in the comments.